So you're thinking of retiring, and you do a search on Google where the best places are to retire, at least in America, and inevitably one of those places is going to be Phoenix, Arizona. But where in Phoenix, Arizona are the best places to actually live, and what are the pros and the cons when it comes to retirement and retirement living in Phoenix, Arizona? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this video is going to break down the pros and the cons of retiring here in Phoenix, Arizona. Also, one of the burning questions we get all the time is about how much money will I need annually to survive and retire somewhat comfortably in Arizona. And that number, calculated by all the experts, is $71,000 a year. But first, check out our contact information just below if you don't mind shooting us an email or a text or phone call, and we'd be happy to talk to you about anything when it comes to retirement here in Phoenix, Arizona. We are realtors with Real Broker, and we would love to help you navigate the waters to find that best community and property when it comes to retiring here in Phoenix. Now let's jump right into that list of the pros and the cons of retiring here in Phoenix. Now, number one, we're going to start with the most obvious one first. And awkwardly enough, because I'm that way sometimes, we're going to start with the cons first. Nobody does that. Who does that, Kelly? Well, we're going to do it right here. We're going to start with the cons, go through that entire list, and then we're going to go to the good stuff after that. It's kind of like if someone says, I have good news and bad news. Which one would you like first? What would you choose? Everyone always chooses the good news first. Well, we're going to give that bad stuff to you first, because no place is perfect, and we're going to break down the cons of retiring in Phoenix right now. So let's go with number one, which is public transportation, or lack thereof. Now, there is some public transportation in the Phoenix area. We have what is called the light rail, but Phoenix is so spread out, the light rail only makes it to a certain part of the city, primarily downtown Phoenix, over to Tempe, Mesa, and up to Central Corridor. That's it. And there aren't too many retirement communities or areas that it actually goes to. In fact, it barely reaches any. So that is a problem or a con if you want to live in Arizona. Now, because Arizona is so spread out, you need to have a car. That's right. So if you are planning to live to be 104, that might not be the best way to get around the city when you're healthy, but maybe losing a little bit of your cognitive skills when you reach at least 100 or 101.
Serious?
Okay, but in all seriousness, hopefully you do live to be 104, but that time you probably should be driving anyway, so it doesn't really matter if that's a con or not. But the reality is you will have to have a car at some point, no matter if you're 50, 65, or no matter what your age is, and that could be a potential con to some people. But the good news is you can have that negated a lot by simply using a smartphone and an app, Uber Eats, DoorDash, etc., to still have that convenience and not really have to drive that much. Number two, and that's going to be no greenery. That's right. Now, you could look at it either way, because notice I did not say that Arizona is not beautiful, because Arizona is beautiful. The problem is a lot of people, when they retire, they don't come from a desert climate or environment. Therefore, they come from a place where there's a lot of green, at least most of the year. Now, a lot of times there's also a lot of white as well. You know what that is, and we don't want any of that here down in the Phoenix area. So you came to the right spot, and that is the beautiful lifestyle of retirement. No white stuff, but no green either. Now, you do get some green. Artificial turf is becoming a lot more common down here, and trust me, it is low maintenance and looks great all year long. But the reality is we do have grass, and in a lot of places you can't plant grass if that's something you want to see in your front or backyards, just depending on the city ordinances and cost and things of that nature. So it depends on what you're looking for from that standpoint. But the reality is that brown is beautiful. Just because something isn't green doesn't mean that natural vegetation is not beautiful. The desert is beautiful. I remember when I first moved to Arizona in 2004, I was like, ooh, man, this is brown everywhere. But then it grew on me, and the desert life grows on you, and it is a natural, beautiful landscape that is just different, but still beautiful in its own right. So if you want greenery, you're not gonna find it here, although I think the brown desert landscape will grow on you nicely. Number three is gonna be sunscreen and the heat. You just can't get around it. There's no way to ignore that aspect, because the heat in the summertime, it is a con. I mean, nobody wants to sit in an oven if they don't have to, and that's a lot of times how the summers in July, August, June primarily are described in Arizona, is that you're like in an oven. It's a dry heat, which is a pro, but the reality is that it's a con overall, because if you could choose to be in 74 degrees in sunshine, which it is a lot of times most of the year in Arizona, you would not choose to be in that in the summer if you don't have to. But the good news is you live in Phoenix. You retired in Phoenix, and by doing so, you are located in one of the most convenient locations in all of America when it comes to changing the weather. That's right, guys. Most people don't understand that Arizona is so diverse when it comes to the geography. By living in Phoenix, you get the best of both worlds, because with just an hour and a half or 2 hour drive north into the upper rim of the Arizona area, you get a cooler climate. That's right. You're talking summers, where the dead of summer in July, it could be 111 degrees, but you take a 2 hour drive north and the weather could be 80 degrees and sunny or cloudy, maybe even rainy. It's beautiful, guys. The state is gorgeous. Or vice versa, it's the winter time and you're enjoying in Phoenix with a little Mai Tai by the pool, the 75-degree temperature, and it's sunny and just absolutely gorgeous. But if you want to get that itch to maybe see some of that white stuff and go snowboarding or skiing, that's right, a lot of people do ski, maybe snowboarding not so much, but they do ski, and it's available to you if you want a day trip to wake up, go into that 20-degree temperature, get some nice skiing for the day, and then drive back down the hill to Phoenix, where by dinner time you can be enjoying a nice meal outside in, again, 72-degree weather. But going back to the sunscreen thing, the sunscreen's not the worst thing in the world, but it is very important to have it on your skin. All places exposed to the sun, or possibly you can wear a long sleeve, dry fit, loose fitting shirt and pants and some sort of landscaping bucket hat that kind of goes outside to cover your back of your neck, your face, and places like that, because you don't want to mess around with cancer on the skin, and too much overexposure to the sun can definitely do that. And the reality is that the sun is more intense here in the Arizona desert in the summertime. It just is. It may have something to do with being a little bit further south, closer to the equator, I don't know, but it's a little more intense, so you gotta make sure you have that skin sprayed, lathered up. I always keep one in my bag, my car, ready to go, so when I'm outside for an extended period of time, I make sure my skin is covered. The next con is going to be valley fever. What is that? I'm glad you asked, because no one else is talking about this, but valley fever is a negative thing. Now, a lot of times this will reside primarily in animals, dogs primarily digging in the ground, but valley fever is an airborne virus that actually gets into your system through just that, the air. And what it does is it's a respiratory system that can have negative effects on your breathing and things of that nature. Now, a lot of people don't get it. It is not terribly common, but it is something to just be aware of. And the reality is if you're not digging into the soil, you probably aren't going to get it, but it is something that is an airborne disease that you could possibly get, and it's not fun to deal with. There is medicine for it, so it's something that can be treated, but again, something that you just don't want to look forward to, that will attack your immune system and your respiratory issues when it comes to breathing. And number 5 is going to be the monsoons, or the haboobs. The what? Yeah, the haboobs. Basically what they are is a giant sandstorm that just comes in and just covers the entire city or portion of it. It is crazy. At the end of the day, it's not that big a deal because you can actually drive through it in most cases as long as you have some visibility, but it will get all your covered patio furniture and things in your backyard just a little dusty when it comes rolling through, and it only happens during monsoon season. So when is that? Monsoon season is typically in the summertime, between the months of primarily July and August for the most part. You also get some humidity that comes with that, so the temperature actually will drop and the humidity will rise to about 30 to 40, maybe up to 50%. So it's not like it's 90% like it is in the South or places like that across America. The temperature will drop to offset that to an extent. Either way, it's still hot, it's still summertime, it's still somewhat miserable, but sometimes it will cool off when it rains as well, and that is an awesome thing because in the summertime, it can go many months without rainfall, and therefore the area gets very dry and it's more prone to forest fires out in the more remote areas of the state. But what's interesting, guys, is when the monsoon comes, it just rains really hard and usually for a short period of time, but it dumps so fast and so hard on the ground because it's not as porous as other soil across America. It's dry and brittle, it doesn't soak up, and so you can get some flash flood warnings during the times when the monsoon comes because it just rains so much in such a short period of time. And with that, we're gonna mention one more thing, and it's our 6th thing, which are the animals or critters here in the desert. We're just gonna name a few, especially if you're golfing and it's warmer outside. Just watch out for the rattlesnakes. That's right, we have rattlesnakes here in the desert. It is a thing. I haven't seen too many of them in my time being down here in the desert for almost 20 years. I've seen several, but if you're hitting that golf ball and it wanders wanders off the fairway, which I'm sure most of the time it doesn't with your balls. But just maybe think twice about going to get it, or be very cautious when walking out into the wild desert trying to find for that golf ball, okay? Same thing with hiking. Take a stick, take something with you that you can help fend off a rattlesnake if they are in the area where you tend to be. The next thing are scorpions. The scorpions, they're pesky. They're hard to get rid of, and they're small, so you can't see them very well, and they do sting. Now, you don't have to go to the hospital just because you get stung, but sometimes, as a precaution, you may want to do that. It just depends based on how you're feeling and things of that nature. But they can get into a lot of different things, but the good news is, typically most houses don't have them. If you're in the mountains, or you are closer to, say, a nursery or someplace where you're tilling up the desert ground and soil, you're more apt to maybe have them in your house or your yard or places like that. But for the most part, most Arizonans don't have to deal with them most of the time. Now, I could go on and on about desert animal life. We have bobcats, we have coyotes, we have javelina. Wait, okay, I have to talk about javelina. Javelina are nasty. They're wild pigs, and they literally are everywhere in the desert. Now, most neighborhoods will not see them if you don't have a desert wash running through your neighborhood. That's typically how they travel, up and down the wash, or if you don't live next to a large open area of desert land. But if you do see them, just keep your distance because they will not attack you, but man, they can get vicious. I had a personal encounter with one time, and it was not good. Call me if you want that story, 480-660-5974. I'd be happy to share it with you because it's actually quite fascinating. But for the purposes of time, we won't discuss that on this video. We're covering the cons of retiring in Phoenix, and the reality is you probably just won't ever have a run-in with one. So now that you heard all the bad news, now we're going to talk about the good news. These are the pros. We're going to start number one with sunshine. I know you have to have a lot of sunscreen for that sunshine, but the sunshine is amazing, guys. It is beautiful. It makes you cheery every single day. You almost know what to expect when you wake up in Arizona. It's going to be sunny and more sunny. I always joke all the time that the easiest job in all of Arizona, no offense, a meteorologist, is just that. A meteorologist, because why? It's always sunny. And so most people do enjoy the sunshine, and there's usually a lot of shade. There actually are a lot of trees in Arizona, in the Phoenix area. You know, it is a desert. There's a lot of desert plant life and tree life. And these trees are large with big canopies that do provide a lot of shade as well when you're outside doing the outdoor activities. The sunshine leads to a lot of outdoor activity and an outdoor active lifestyle, which when you're in retirement, you have more time for potentially. And most people enjoy that aspect. Even when it's summertime and it's blazing hot, you do have the ability, if you want, to get up early and go out and get a hike, get a jog, get a walk in. And yes, it is still hot in the morning. Don't kid yourself. It is still in the high 80s to low 90s sometimes at 4:35, 5:30 in the morning. I know, but it's still bearable. The sun might not quite be out yet, but you have some light as the sun starts to rise, but it's not unbearable. In fact, I do a lot of Ironman training, and a lot of that training is done, that's right, in the summertime and in the morning. So you just get up early, try to knock it out, even if it's dark out, and try to knock out that lengthy bike, swim, or run early in the morning before it gets too hot. And a lot of golfers actually like to go out and get 9 holes or maybe 18 holes in before it gets too hot, because if you can shut it down before 10:30, it's still doable. Now, a lot of guys will go out and golf in the afternoon as well, because you lather up sunscreen, have a ton of water, stay hydrated, and cover up as much of your body as you can. You can get through it, and it's not the most enjoyable experience, but it's doable. But if you want a more enjoyable experience and you still want to golf, it's still okay to do it in the morning, and that sunshine really allows for that active outdoor lifestyle. Now, segueing perfectly into number 2 is golf. There are over 200 golf courses outside of just Scottsdale alone and in the surrounding areas throughout Phoenix. So there's plenty of options when it comes to golf. There are also country club memberships and golf course memberships even on public courses that you can take advantage of to get the cost down as low as possible and still have a great time with golf. In the 55 plus area communities, places like Sun Lakes, Sun City West, Sun City Grand, and these communities as well, which I will do another video just on the best communities throughout all Phoenix. So that will be dropping in several weeks. Stay tuned for that. There is a lot of golf, and there are golf memberships, so you have the ability to then play a lot of golf for not the most amount of money. And a lot of people who retire to Phoenix aren't looking for the fancy country club memberships because they might not even have the income or money for that, but they do love to play golf and they have the time to do so. And so there's a lot more affordable options at some of these 55 plus communities. And what I love about golf in Arizona is not all the courses are, but most are desert golf courses. What that means is you have natural terrain of the desert with green grass plotted through the fairway, the tee boxes, the greens throughout the different sections of the natural desert, which is amazing. Now, to an extent, it is target golf. some golf courses that are desert golf courses are wider or more narrow than others, but either way, it is somewhat target golf. But it's beautiful, guys. It is beautiful. Now, you do have to hone in your golf game a little bit, especially off that tee box, to make sure you hit that fairway. I'm talking from experience actually myself, but it kind of forces you to refine your golf game to make it better so that you have a more enjoyable experience when you actually hit the fairway on these desert golf courses. I love the golf, guys. So if you want to come down to Phoenix, grab a round of golf, please email me, call me. I'd love to have the chance to maybe set that up with you, or at least give you advice at the very least on some of the best golf courses around the entire Phoenix area, because there are a lot of good ones. In fact, Scottsdale is known as the golf mecca of the world, primarily because of its amazing golf courses, public and private alike. Okay, number 3 is pickleball. That's right, you know I had to make the list here of the pros in Arizona. There is so much pickleball going on in Arizona. You can get a league almost anywhere in any suburb throughout the Phoenix area. It's amazing. And did you know that USA Pickleball, actually the new headquarters, are going to be located right here in Scottsdale, Arizona, as they're building a brand new facility just for that. There are well over 100 public courts located throughout the greater Phoenix area, and so you will have no problem finding a court, or a league for that matter, to join when it comes to playing pickleball. In fact, because Arizona does get hot in summertime, there are actually indoor pickleball warehouses and companies that have made air-conditioned indoor pickleball. It is amazing. So you can literally play pickleball comfortably all year round. Number 4 is going to be the food scene. Guys, the food scene is completely underrated here in the Phoenix area. For such a long time, it wasn't that great, but now, because of all the different population and ethnicity groups that are coming to Phoenix, which has never been that diverse in the past, you have so much great food in restaurants, and even big time names coming down to Phoenix. Big time chefs coming down, starting new concepts in the Phoenix area. Now, obviously, outside of the authentic Mexican food, which by the way is amazing. I think this is Italian. That's not a Mexican, but I'll give that for the Mexican food as well, because it is amazing, guys. We're located so close to Mexico that we get so much of that flavor infused into the restaurant scene here in the Phoenix area. But we also have good Italian food, good American cuisine. We have Middle Eastern food, and the list goes on and on. We also are getting a lot of the trendy concepts coming to Arizona as well, because Arizona is the new Beverly Hills. Now, it's not as cool maybe as Beverly Hills quite yet, but it's getting there overall. The vibe of people coming down here and wanting to visit and just vacation in Scottsdale is incredible. And with that, they expect great food. So it has this little domino effect, because the best chefs and cuisine that is now inserting itself, taking over in certain areas of certain cities throughout the Phoenix area, now is pushing out maybe the average stuff down to the below average. And so everything is basically getting upgraded across the board for the most part when it comes to the food scene in Arizona. Now, the 5th thing is going to be healthcare. The sad reality is that as you get older, healthcare becomes more and more important. And so you need to know your options for that in terms of the proximity of the nearest hospital or medical provider. How good is the healthcare? What is the quality of it? What is the cost? Does my insurance cover it? Does Medicare and Medicaid cover it? Things of that nature, and the list goes on and on. So that is a viable concern. Now, overall, healthcare in Phoenix is actually really, really good. In fact, one of the Mayo Clinic locations, one of the 3 across America, is located right here in Phoenix. There's a huge Mayo Clinic hospital in the North Phoenix area by Desert Ridge, and they are continuing to expand this and growing the research and growing the healthcare provided there. But there's also a specialized Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale as well for other types of treatments. So Mayo Clinic has a huge presence here in the Phoenix area. Then you also have Banner Health, and you have the Honor Health system. And these systems are highly rated, and they are prevalent, and they have a lot of great options when it comes to healthcare. And the proximity of big hospitals around, especially the 55 plus retirement areas, is really good. But overall, the proximity of the hospitals throughout the Phoenix area is just good in general, no matter where you choose to reside. Now, the 6th pro is going to be taxes. Overall, Arizona has a low tax environment, which is great, especially when it comes to property taxes. When you retire, you're probably going to look to own your home, and the property taxes are one of the lowest in all of America, which puts more cash in your pocket, which is fantastic. Also, Arizona has no gift or inheritance tax, which is amazing, and there is no tax on Social Security in the state of Arizona as well. So 2 thumbs up for the tax environment when it comes to living in Arizona. And last but not least, we'll cap this off with the sports scene. The sports scene is huge, a big pro. So if you're looking for entertainment, not only is there a lot of just great arts and great concerts and great things of that nature if you want to be around a lot of people, But if you like sports and actually want to attend an event at any given time, even more low-key events like spring training with Major League Baseball, that is an option. So if you're a sports fan, you have all 4 major sports and then some minor level sports as well throughout the Phoenix area. And then of course you have the alternative events that have to do with sports as well, like spring training, the PGA Tour event of the Waste Management Phoenix Open. You have the Barrett-Jackson Auto Auction, which I know necessarily is not a sport, but it does involve classic cars, which is awesome. You have Phoenix International Raceway, which is a NASCAR event, and the list goes on and on. So no shortage of sports events when it comes to that here in Phoenix. And as an added bonus, Arizona is one of the few climates where they say arthritis can actually be healed, or at least managed to an extent as well, because of the dry, warm climate. So another reason that if you have arthritis, you might want to check out Phoenix, Arizona. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video here of the pros and cons of retiring in the Phoenix, Arizona area. If you have any other questions, please reach out. I'd love to go deeper on any of these aspects with you, especially when it comes to anything real estate related. You can call me at 480-660-5974, info@cookandassociatesaz.com, or check us out on Instagram right here at Kelly Cook Homes. We're putting out daily content for your personal enjoyment and education. And to make sure you never miss an alert for another video, go ahead and subscribe and like us on the channel. Thanks so much. Don't forget to call me.